This is not an isolated case with Triple Whale. You probably have more experience with Triple Whale than I do.
Yeah.
I've seen enough Triple Whale accounts to see this scenario, but you see this consistently. You're talking about you're missing 1/4 of their revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you can't just fall off 75 grand in 7-day period.
Right.
I mean, that's egregious.
I mean, it's a difference between probably a 30K loss and a 30K gain in contribution margin.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. And depending upon which attribution model, you're going to be overshot or undershot, but then you're making expensive decisions off of it.
And we are back.
Hello.
Cooking up chaos.
Ruining media buyers' lives once more.
One media buyer at a time. I used to do it this way. No, now you need to do it this way.
Yeah.
Like to learn something new? No.
Well, I guess I wouldn't say all media buyers, but the media buyers that are stuck in their ways. This is even more stuff that we're going to be throwing on top of things. But it's such as digital marketing. It's always full-time job. That's why I try to like even tell our clients too. It's like, hey, like your job isn't to learn my job. Your job is to get better at your job. I will be better at my job, and together you make a good product, and I can sell it. Like, oh, it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Ryan Dice always used to say, I don't want my dentist to figure out digital marketing. I want them to a cavity.
Oh my God, it's so true. One of the examples of that is that many stories I could tell on that whole thing. But you are actually, we have our one-on-ones, our every other week one-on-one right before this session here. So we get to talk about sort of what's going on. And one of the things that I think this is the type of case where this business owner was trying to learn attribution, trying to learn marketing as opposed to figuring out new products, servicing his customers. And then all of a sudden you come in and turn everything upside down and say, hey, if you look over here, it's actually doing better than you think because you're trying to learn and you're going through a faulty attribution model. And he was using our old friends over at Triple Whale.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to looking inside the platform itself.
Yeah.
So,
or like instead of the platform, like Shopify. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Like Shopify,
Yep.
like where the money is, like that's the source of truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you use Lifetimely with
win.
them. Yeah. Your bank account will always win. Your back end will always win. Like that's actually where you're making your money. That's where people are buying your stuff.
Yeah.
They're not buying it through your attribution platform that doesn't track, 20 to anywhere from 20 to 40% is what we've seen.
Yep.
GA4 included. We've got over on our website, if you look up Tier 11 Data Suite, there is a graphic in there that shows the difference between Data Suite capturing data and what you would typically see inside GA4. Not only is GA4 missing 40% of the conversions because of this unknowns and directs, they're missing another 50% of conversions because they're not even capturing any of that. So it's like, if you're not looking at the source of truth, you're not really looking at the right metrics in order to grow that business. And I know this is a theme that we've said many, many times here: metrics that matter, growth that scales. But show for the people at home exactly what we're talking about here, and a real life example of how you got this dentist to start doing more dentistry, so to speak.
It's pretty much almost exactly right, except for different type of doctor. But yes,
different type of doctor. Yeah.
So this evolved as a client that came to me for help on Google. And while we're modifying the account for Google, there is sometimes a situation, well, not sometimes, most of the time the situation occurs is when a client or customer or whomever says, hey, I need to grow, and I'm going to use Google to grow and kind of treat Meta and AppLovin / Axon, which is Axon is now AppLovin, or AppLovin is now Axon. I'm going to use the channels against each other. So kind of the opposite of what MMM was developed to do. And so when we looked at everything and I said, hey, we'll grow Google and we'll scale Meta, but we don't want to necessarily have a lot of attribution that interrupts what we know to be true based on what we as digital marketers expect to happen. So what this means is that he was looking necessarily at his Triple Whale account for the health of his business. And I understand why, because it has all sources, even if Postscript made a sale, etc. And it has a lot of information here, and it tracks all the spend, tracks all the revenue, and new customers and returning customers and all the other good stuff. The problem, though, is the way that Triple Whale tags is actually the same methodology that GA4 and GTM will have an issue with. And for those that don't know, and this might be shocking to some, probably shocking to all, in GA4, when a user does not grant consent in Google Analytics 4, which means they do not accept all cookies that is on the little consent mode pop-up, they are not counted as a user for a session-based metrics the same as consented users. They use model data to fill gaps. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, Google Tag Manager also does the same thing. It will not count users who deny consent. So think about your Google Ads, or think about anything that you've deployed inside of a Google Tag Manager. It might be a Triple Whale tag as an example. The information or the tag will not necessarily count or track the people if they did not ask for consent. Now, for the Tier 11 data suite, obviously we use edge tagging, which doesn't have that issue, which is why a lot of that data is a lot more useful and accurate. But also, if you skip attribution and just say I spent money on campaign A, and what happened to my total top line sales and then CAC and MER, was that a good effect overall to my business? So just skipping attribution. And I was looking at the back end of the website when we're making these changes, and I'm like, it doesn't look like Triple Whale is actually accurate at all. Because as an example, when we scaled last week from 23 to 29, we pushed 47% more spend into Meta, went from 46 grand to 67 grand. So basically $21,000 more in spend. AppLovin,
that number's accurate.
That number is accurate. Yes, the spend is 100%. I know.
Triple Whale, I have no idea. Anyway, go ahead.
So we looked at that, and that was accurate.
That's easy.
AppLovin spent $7 grand more, and then Google stayed about the same, 1.6.
Got it.
Now, when you start to look at all of the metrics, when you see a whale tail here, that's attributed. When you see a non-whale tail, that's not attributed. Basically, just means all the data in. And so we're looking through the metrics, and it's like ROAS is down 10%. 9% if you don't count attribution. All purchases are only up 13. All attributed purchases are up 13, non-attributed up 19. And it's like, hey, your customer value, basically, if you're looking at ROAS, attributed somehow says you made 177. Non-attributed says you went from 181 to 205. So it's only a 13% increase in all of customer value, new and returning, does not matter. Yep. So he's looking at this and saying, this is kind of poor performance where you have 24% more spend and only 13% more revenue.
Right.
Now, see that 205 number? I said, it doesn't seem like this is accurate. Yep. I asked him, exactly. I said, it doesn't seem accurate. Why don't you install Triple Whale, or not Triple Whale? Why don't you install Lifetimely? Lifetimely is like a very good MMM tool. It will just tell you the results of all of your marketing and your health of your business. Yeah. So when we install
directly from Shopify,
exactly, pulled from your actual customer data. So we saw a 24% increase in spend. And then Lifetimely during that time period saw a 25% increase in net sales. So this number is 275,000. Triple Whale thought it was 205 on the high side. So we missed about $70,000 this week, or 2/3 of all activity, basically. About 2/3 of the increase. So that's why I'm wondering where this is. It's
about a quarter of the spend. That's about a quarter of the a quarter of the revenue.
Yeah, it's like this one said that it lifted up 23 grand, but it was actually, fairly high. It was more like about 55,000. So when we look at this and say, okay, well, let's just see, was that healthy? We know that we pushed a bunch of money into Meta. We spent, 47% more, which was a 25% increase. Yep. Now, Google didn't do anything. AppLovin is just going to also rise with it because it does mostly remarketing anyway. Right. So a 25% increase in spend, 25% increase in net sales, blended CAC down 3%, MER up 0.5 point. So we're looking at this saying, all right, so we increased it by 25%, and that is up 25%. Net profit, the contribution margins up 41%. So we cleared 30 grand.
Sounds
Not to mention that the profit that Triple Whale said he lost 23 grand. So don't know how that happened, but apparently it says they lost 23 grand when they actually made 29. It's up $9,000 additional. So we're looking at that. And then we say, okay, units per order stayed, AOV stayed, orders are up 27%. Refunds are down 6%, so that's fine. The percentage of marketing was flat. The blended CAC's better. The MER is better, and the marketing cost went up 25%. So like amazing, 25% marketing cost, 25% more sales, but at a CAC that we like, at a MER that we like, gave us a profit margin increase of 41. Yay! So this is MMM, very simplistic. We pushed 25% there, and we got 25%.
Wait a second. So, but with MMM, it's media mix modeling.
Yeah.
Modeling being the last M.
Right.
Mixed media model. Some people say mixed media modeling, media mix modeling, whatever. I don't care what it is. The point is,
models.
But modeling this is not modeling. You're not modeling anything. You're actually pulling real data from the back end where people are actually buying. So that, by virtue of this, is really sort of MM, not MMM.
It's almost like MMI. It's like media mix interpretation. We're pretty sure it came from Meta. Now, nothing supports that inside of Triple Whale. Right. ROAS went down 85%.
Says okay. Meta's doing terrible.
Right. Yeah. So we put 47% more spend and ROAS went down 11. Like it's just not true at all. And so that's what's interesting is like when you skip the attribution, I was playing around with this earlier and I thought this was really funny. Here, watch this. You know what? I think I can copy and paste this into a new window, and I don't even know how this happens. But somehow changing the attribution model changes the totals. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. That doesn't make
attribution model changes the totals. Okay, right. Okay.
That's not possible. All sales change with attribution model when you're talking about all sources, even organic. Yeah. So I was looking through this thing and I said, wait a minute, let me run a quick model here. So 23 to 29 compare previous period, 23 to 29 compare previous period. One's first click, one's last click. So I'm like, I still have 205 and I still have 205 here, but my customer value says 177. Unless you go last click, then the customer value is 294. It's 294 from a last click perspective, which is really cool because somehow it went from 177 to 294 and we still only have 275. So it either undershoots it by 100K or like overshoots it by 40K, just depending upon what attribution model that you use. So I'm like, thanks. That was fantastic. However, the total customer value is still 205. So for those out there that love to stick with an attribution model and not change it, if you're looking at last click, you made 90 grand more than your totals, which is really interesting. Or you made basically like 25 grand less than your totals. So, pick your poison. Either one of them is really freaking far off. And I also like the fact that my customer value actually went up 20% and overshot my totals. But on a first click basis, the totals were only up 11%. So you get different percentile increases and then also undershot or way overshot. So when we basically just removed everything and said, let's just use your bank account. Remember how we've been teaching this for years of NCAC and MER and contribution margin, the same stuff. It was very, very interesting to see how when the tag misfires and they model it incorrectly and you make very expensive decisions off of this, how wrong it really can be.
And this is not an isolated case with Triple Whale, is it? You probably have more experience with Triple Whale than I do.
Yeah.
I've seen enough Triple Whale accounts to know exactly see this scenario, but you see this consistently. You're talking about you're missing 1/4 of their revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you can't just, fuck off 75 grand in 7-day period.
Right.
I mean, that's egregious.
It's a difference between, probably a 30K loss and a 30K gain in contribution margin.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's huge. And depending upon which attribution model, you're going to be overshot or undershot, but then you're making expensive decisions off of it. So we're probably going to get rid of Triple Whale pretty quickly for this client here and move into basically just Lifetimely. But the MMM modeling, when you're looking at, I push here, this, and here's what's funny is check this out. The week before this, when he says, hey, push on Google, I'll show you the push on Google. Watch this. If we look at the Lifetimely here, and we're running Performance Max with non-first click attributed, which what is going to happen with Google when you spike up Google? Well, if you're using non-first click, non-CAPI imports, when this one went up 40% and we had a flat basically spend, the Lifetimely, we have a flat return. So this one pushed up about 8 grand, but the reduction of that 2 grand here was not made up by the increase in this money here. So Meta pulled back basically 10 grand and we added 9. So what was supposed to happen at the time is that I'm going to increase Google, you increase Meta. And I increased Google, they didn't increase Meta. I'm like, okay, so our spend is the same and our revenue is the same. CAC is the same, MER is the same. So it looks like Google and Meta are doing well. It's just when you push one without the other, you don't really see much result. So when I took it from 21 up to 29, that next week I stayed at my level of 29 or like 29.30, basically stayed at that level. And then they increased Meta. So we basically just increased Google, then increased Meta. And now our Lifetimely, after those two scales, now we've up leveled and we went into the same, we've increased all of our sales by 25%. So it's really interesting that Google, when you take Google up and you push Meta down, nothing happens. But if you push Meta back up, this is good. So if we were to, and this is, I don't fault the guy, this is new to him. He was very nervous. Sure. I sent him an email and I said, hello from 30,000 feet. You messed up, man. He responds with, I know I caved. It was funny. We have a good relationship. He's like, it looked good. I caved. I was like, okay, I need you to do this now. So now that I've kind of won him over in the MMM modeling kind of thought process, which is NCAC, MER, net sales contribution margin, compare that to your spend. Don't look at attribution, especially from a third-party platform that's missing 1/3 of the data. Now this has actually become really easy. Now life is easy. All we had to do is just stop confusing ourselves and stop paying for the confusion. Right. And it has been very, very beneficial.
You don't really even need Lifetimely to get that result, because you could have just gone back into Shopify and just like pull the results from there.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I just look at here, this is the same time period, 23rd, 29th compared to previous period, 25% more sales, like Lifetimely says. The new customer, returning customer rate went down, indicative of new customers. Orders are up. Traffic is up 17% with a better conversion rate. And we see Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Like YouTube took a whole bunch of credit, even though we didn't touch YouTube, because it's a warm network. You push on Meta, YouTube naturally looks better, which is why I tell people be cautious of demand gen. It gets drug around by the nose from other platforms. But I mean, basically everything is up except for Google search. We already scaled up the week before. Mm-hmm. So that's what's kind of nice is we can see through here. This is why I'm looking at, he scaled. I look at this first. I'm like, this looks good. It happened to Triple Whale. And it's like, everything's terrible. I'm like, well, the spend I know is accurate. The revenue I know is accurate. The only thing that's saying things are bad is Triple Whale. I'm like, let's not look there. Let's get Lifetimely, get it installed, go retroactive, see what actually happened. And we may find out that third-party attribution that is poor is, not necessarily even worth our time.
Why would anyone ever use Triple Whale?
I don't know. Hype is believed a lot. I do believe that when you're running heavy amounts of Meta, your third-party attribution, if it's going to take a third-party approach and not have an actual baseline, like ignore what Meta says happened, ignore the bank account, ignore like Lifetimely, ignore actual new customers, and only track 2/3 of things, you're tracking 2/3 of a network that has 95% of its activity not even click-based. Attribution at that point is like a dartboard. I mean, I could have sold 10 people or one, just depending on if I think the people that saw the ad converted anyway. So it's like trusting view engage conversions. It's like it's directionally accurate, but we don't want too much of that. Triple Whale just underreports that. Yeah.
You want the click. I mean, you want the actual click being captured.
Yeah. And or you take it like directionally, but you let your bank account dictate. Right. I want to move on to something else before we get to Q&A here in 10 minutes.
Well, that was great, by the way, because we've never really talked about Triple Whale all that much, and it shows just all the holes that are in it. So, of course, if you need our help, you can get our help over at tier11.com/apply. Definitely check out our data suite that's on tier 11 as well. Helps pay the bills here.